go of their emotions. So I help people to connect with parts of themselves which aren't always easy to connect with, and I help them get in touch with it and let them go. And I have some experience in being a single father as well. So yeah, and I've spoken with many single fathers and helped them release some emotions too. So yeah, that's what I do.
That's fantastic. That's brilliant. I'm looking forward to that. Viewers all over the world, we want to say thank you for joining us again once more. Thank you. We really appreciate all your support and the comments that you have been leaving and the thumbs up and the likes. We really, really, truly appreciate it. But at the moment, please allow me to take you on a journey, because I get asked a lot of time to say, why the Father Talk Show? And I'm sure my colleague here, Daniel, probably get asked that same question. Why do you want to work only with men? And I get that loads of time. Now imagine, as a single father during the lockdown, you're running a successful business. You've got a great job. You're coping very well with the school runs. And yeah, things are going really, really well. And then all of a sudden the lockdown came. And you're like, you have to give up all that. And all your support system that you have in place just disappeared in one night. Now, the most amazing thing is, all of a sudden, you find yourself at a training center via Zoom, being referred from the local community, people you work with, or you've seen an advert of seen the adverts of the training. And here you are, you've got to attend to the training and you're sitting there, and then all of a sudden this woman, the woman trainer, saying to you, well, listen guys, you're not talking. All the women are doing the talking. Today, you're not leaving the Zoom meeting until you start to talk, but the women are going to all zoomed off. And then all of a sudden you have to share your emotions and speak. And this is how the Father Talk Show came about. This is how the training for single fathers has come about. It's through that journey, and I was that trainer that was working with the single fathers throughout the COVID, the lockdown, and everything. So I'm very passionate about that. But today we have got the most amazing topic for you. And Danny, what is the topic?
The topic is the challenges of single fatherhood and how to powerfully embrace it. So, we're going to talk about, the difficulties, the problems that, men, single fathers face, when they first become single fathers, when they get divorced. And because there's so many challenges and, it's a lot of it, which is emotionally based as well, and sort of, physical things as well, but and we're going to find out how they can embrace it so they can come out the other end feeling lighter, feeling better, feeling more connected, and being better parents as well.
Fantastic. I took a time out and through my experience working with men and come up with just a couple of the challenges and see how we can look at them. And some of the challenges that men, single fathers, kind of go through. And sometimes we're kind of so not noticed, the challenges they go through. In fact, sometimes they don't. We look at these amazing men, amazing kings that decided to stand up and be part of the life of their children and bringing them up. Some of the challenges are sometimes is balancing work and also parenting. Every one of us, we know what that is like. And one of it as well, emotionally support. And one of the things that came across for me during the COVID lockdown, most of the men were saying that, well, there's no support out there for us. And that's how they feel. They say there's no support out there for us. Another thing as well is childcare, arranging childcare and everything. Those are the things. And one of the big ones that we will be looking at is isolation. How can they overcome isolation? So these are some of just the challenges that single fathers kind of go through. What do you think in this list?
Yeah, I think isolation is a huge one, because often, you know, when you're a single father or when you first get divorced, you know, the woman takes the children,
Yeah.
and you know, it's and maybe even the house as well. I mean, it depends, but every circumstance is different. So generally the father tends to feel very alone, very isolated. Being a man, it's often very difficult to talk about your feelings with other guys as well. So, you know, you feel you don't really have that support network. So, you know, it's very easy to feel alone and isolated, and you don't know, and also because we're not perhaps as good as good in releasing our emotions as women are. So all of this starts to take a toll. It can take a toll. It just depends. Like I said before, every circumstance is different, but yeah, it's really important that we look at these factors and we kind of address it to see what's the best thing that we can do. How can we create that support network? How can we, you know, maybe even embrace that feeling of isolation that comes, and what to do about it. So yeah.
That is absolutely fantastic, but that is true. I absolutely agree with you. Isolation is a really big thing along men and single fathers as well. But can you let's touch on, you know, we may have a viewer out there who's watching this talk show, and this journey, it is first time become a single father. It's a new single father and everything, and he's going through so many challenges, or even there is a single father there who is watching this program that's going through some of these challenges. Now, how can single fathers embrace of them being single father through this journey? How could they do
that? Yeah, and that's the tough one, because at first, you know, the mind doesn't want to accept the fact that everything's changed, because often everything does change. And you know, they say divorce is probably one of the most difficult times in your life. It was certainly one of my most difficult times when it first happened, because you know, one day you're in a family, you know, you've got a wife, you've got the family, you've got your, you know, children, and next day you're not, you know, and that's the part when all of these emotions come, all of these feelings, and to embrace it is you may not embrace it first. It's a step-by-step process. You know, there may be a lot of grief that comes up before you can actually embrace being a single father. You know, especially whenever you lose something, the first thing is the emotion of grief that comes up. So when you know, lose your wife or your child, or and at some point you haven't really lost, it's just you're no longer in the same household, so that feeling of grief will come up, and you have to understand that's part and parcel of a process. It's going to be difficult, it's not going to be easy, and to understand that you're going to get these emotions, and it could be the most challenging part of your life. That's the first part in accepting this. It's accepting that you are where you're at, and allowing all of these emotions to come. Anger, guilt, shame, sadness, all of that will come.
And when all those feelings, sorry about that, when all those feelings are coming up, yes, the anger, the frustration, the grief, because like you say, they're grieving like they've lost, you know, their family, and all of a sudden they find them. How could they kind of be able to accept that and to deal with that when it comes up, those anger, those issues, the frustration, the sadness? How would they be able to deal with those issues? How can they overcome?
I mean, just to it's great if you have a support network of people to talk to. So if you're a father and you don't often talk about this, how you feel with your friends, it may be a little bit more difficult. I was lucky in that because of what I do and because of the type of person I am, I could speak about this with my friends. And I've mentioned before that at the time I got divorced, I also had two of my best friends who I'd known for more than 30 years go through exactly the same thing, and we all went through it at the same time. And
Wow.
because of that, it was much easier for us. I'd ring him up and, you know, so I'd speak to him, and sometimes I'd be pissed off, I'd be angry. And then other times I'd be crying, and then sometimes I'd be the same thing happens at the same time. And then I had another friend that was going through the same thing. So and if you are someone who knows a father that has gone through the same thing, it's good to talk to them as well, and to share how you are feeling. And often when you share how you're feeling and you're honest, then
Yeah.
all the emotions will come up. It's when you pretend and you say, yeah, I'm okay, it's cool, you know, and you try to be a strong man, and you hold everything in rather than being honest,
Letting it
because
go.
because honesty allows the flow of emotions to be expressed and
That is
for it to come up.
I mean, and there was a good point that you just made there as well. And I believe a lot of men are going to feel that way because I'm a man. I got to keep it together. I got to hold it together. And even though they are breaking inside with pain, you know, so, you know, I love the sharing your journey, having somebody else to speak to, and your friends are going through there. So we want to encourage you, if you are going through that journey, one of the key things I believe Danny's saying is that talk, you know, reach out and talk to other fathers, other people that are going through a similar journey. What about seeking professional help through that journey? Because there's a lot of pain. There is a lot of pain. All of us, when we go through divorce or even just a breakup, you know, you've been with somebody for the last 10 years, there's a lot of pain.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't seek professional help mainly because I had been on an inner journey for a while. I was able to handle my emotions. I knew what to do when they came up. You know, I was okay. You know, when I felt sadness, I really sat with the sadness and allowed it to come up, and I cried when I needed to cry. I got angry when I needed to get angry. And I was okay with that. And also speak because I had that support network, it was easier. But for guys that don't have that and that aren't certain what to do with these feelings, or you know, then yes, I definitely agree to have perhaps someone to speak to about this, because it will help immensely just to share what you're feeling and what's coming up. And when you share, tears will come out, and that's nature's way of releasing that stuck emotion. So you have, you know, you're not such a pressure cooker, because you're either a pressure cooker of anger or of sadness or grief. And if that anger doesn't go anywhere, it's going to affect you physically, and it's also going to disconnect you from perhaps your child, and it will enable that. It will mean that the healing process that happens will be spread out longer. Yeah.
I love what you said, you know, like for you, when that time comes, when the pain comes and you feel like crying, you just go through the journey and cry. How could we encourage men out there that to say to them, look, it is okay to cry. It is okay to cry.
Yeah, I mean, when you understand, actually to cry as a man takes strength. Because for those of the audience that don't know about me, I suppressed my emotions for a long time. I used to cry very easily when I was younger. And anything used to set me out. I used to get teased for doing so. So I learned to suppress it and push it down, to hold the tears down. So even when and I've mentioned this to you, even when I was at my father's funeral, I didn't cry because I was afraid of the judgment I'd get from the men around me. And, you know, out of all and that's how conditioned I was. I was, you know, I held that emotion, and it's only 3 months down the line when I was on a silent retreat that it all came flooding out. Yeah, and that's when I felt my back pain disappeared after I let go, And these are the kind of things, you know, when you hold on and people say you're strong, you're actually holding on to that emotional energy. You're not allowing it to flow. So it, again, you're like a pressure cooker. It affects your immune system, affects your health. It does all of that. So understanding that crying is a natural process to release that tension and reconnect you with your child, and even perhaps later on down the line with your ex, is extremely powerful. It's because grief is always the gateway emotion to connection, love, and oneness, which means that if you hold
Can you
on.
just repeat that one more time, please, so our viewers there, so they will know, because I love what you just said, please.
So grief is always the gateway emotion to connection, love, and oneness, which means if you do not cry, you will disconnect. You will remain in a disconnected state from your kids, from perhaps your ex. And at the time you may think, I want to be disconnected from my ex, but there's loads of reasons why you shouldn't, and we're going to go into that, in future episodes. But and it's you, and it not only just connects with them, but it disconnects you from everything and everyone when you hold suppressed grief. But when you release it, when you allow the tears to flow, the guilt, the shame, all of that comes with that, you're going to start to reconnect slowly with people, with circumstances. It may be a little bit at each time, but it will happen. And it will give you immense power, because when you push these emotions down, you hold on to it, it requires a tremendous amount of energy to do that. And that energy can be used for different things, can be used to start your business, can be used for your immune system, your creativity. But when you keep that emotion in, it requires a tremendous amount of energy to do that, and that's not available to you.
That is so powerful what you just shared, absolutely powerful. Because also what I love what you touched on that as well, how it would also impact their health when they suppress the emotions as well. Tell us one way again that it can impact their health. I know you kind of mentioned about your back, when you kind of came and kind of begin to take that journey for yourself, discovering yourself and releasing that pain through crying, through talking to your other colleagues or friends who are going through the journey, it kind of released that pressure and that pain you were suffering in the back. What other issue can they face when they suppress their emotions?
I mean, there so many issues. It's just okay, so let's say suppressed anger creates a lack of motivation. So when you find you're not motivated, often it's a result of suppressed anger. And that's for everyone, men, women, no matter who you are. And certain emotions are gateways to more freedom. So for example, when you have suppressed fear, which I had a tremendous amount, it leads to an inability to connect with insight and intuition. And fear is that gateway. So your ability to know which direction to go in next is limited by that suppressed fear. So and anger does that as well. So you often realize that when people are very angry and they hold down on that anger, they make stupid decisions. They'll make a decision like, my wife isn't allowing me to see my kid, I'm going to break down that door and get to see my kid. And then all of a sudden now they're arrested, they're in jail, and they're not going to see their kid. These are kind of emotions that need to be let go of, so the choices become, you can make better choices. And it's also, that's one thing, but there's just numerous things with health, creativity, motivation. All of these emotions that you hold within affect your life in general. They affect sorry, go on.
Sorry to cut you. And it also affects you being an effective father as well, isn't it?
100%. You're like grief, like I said, is the emotion to connection, love, and oneness. So when you hold on to grief, you remain in that disconnected state. So what will happen if you have suppressed grief is, and this is a slightly different way of viewing things, is that life will give you experiences of disconnection to show you how you are disconnected by holding on to grief. And what that means as a single father is that you may be faced with an ex-wife who stops you from seeing your kids. Okay.
That
Now, when
happens
you,
a lot.
yes, that happens a lot. And often it's a result of suppressed anger, suppressed grief, these emotions that are locked inside. And these emotions always want to come up. And one of the ways life does that is to create the circumstances and people that resonate with that suppressed grief and that allow it to come up in by giving that the man or the father an ex-wife who won't allow them to see the kids. Now, and this is a completely different way of looking at things. So you have to have an open mind to entertain this. Is that when you clear your grief, really shift it at a deep level, all of a sudden your ex may say, well, now you can see the kids. Yeah. And we're going to talk about this more in the future anyway,
Into
but
depth,
we're not going to go into it.
Yeah. So, I mean, even what we've shared, if anybody is going through that journey at the moment, it's really be in touch with what you're going through and be real about it and communicate with it as well. You know, again, as a single father and everything, one of the things that came a lot when I was working with them is isolation. They feel very isolations. And, you know, I think this one, in fact, is not only for single fathers, because I remember bringing up my younger two boys, you know, after the young one's gone to bed and I've done everything, I'm like, oh my God, what do I do? And kind of crave that conversation of an adult and everything. Now, if a single father out there right now listening to us is going through this journey, feeling isolation, what can they do? You know, how could they deal with that isolation?
You know, one way of dealing with isolation is, you know, to surround yourself with a network of people that are, you know, care for you and that understand what you're going through and that are your friends and that are, you know, willing to listen to you when you talk about this stuff that is painful for you. That helps a lot. And, you know, that probably for most men is the first step, you know, just, okay, surround yourself with a network of people. And, you know, like you said, if you have if you've never seen a therapist before or counselor, you know, perhaps consider the possibility of seeing them, or perhaps attending a men's group with men that are struggling with similar challenges. And I know a lot of men will be like, no way am I gonna no way I'm gonna do that. Yeah. And that is completely understanding, because it's like, you know, it's a certain stigma around it.
Yeah.
But when you understand that, you know, connecting honestly, truthfully, authentically is incredibly powerful and allows you to connect not, you know, with your fellow males. It's so beneficial. It's incredibly powerful to get to help you deal with those feelings of isolation. And when when you're in this group, and like I said, I haven't been in that group for that type of group. I've been in similar men's group, but not specifically around divorce. It allows the expression and the outpouring of grief, which consequently creates that reconnection. And that is extremely powerful.
And that would also be able to kind of reduce isolations as well, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You know, what I approached it a slightly different way, whereas I I would just sit with a feeling of isolation.
Really? How'd you do that then? same with this feeling of isolation, what are the steps? What do you do?
It's like, I approached it in a pretty like monk mode or hardcore method, where I'd be like, okay, I'm feeling lonely. Let me just sit with that feeling of loneliness. Now, this isn't probably for most men, because when you get most men doing it, they're going to go into a story, and that's not what you want to do. Yeah, because when you're feeling isolated, you start thinking a lot about the story.
Yes.
Yeah. And we are adding energy to that story. So you may have a thought, oh my God, or you may have a thought like, oh, my wife, the reason I'm here is because of my wife. Oh, she's horrible. What, I just hate her. She took my kids, and then you just go down that spiral, and all of a sudden, before you realize, you're depressed. But if you can take a place where you're just observing the story, observing these mental loops that happen, and you're feeling the emotion, you can allow that integration, that letting go of emotion to happen.
And also reducing the isolation as well, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
I'm going to share a story. I'm going to share a story with you guys. For me, it's really great and powerful how you share, how you deal with isolations and everything. And again, like you mentioned, it's not for everybody out there. Every one of us have a way of dealing with isolation. And I also enjoyed the part that you said, where when you sit on that kind of thing and you're not dealing with the issue, the whole thing becomes almost like it repeats. It keeps going on. I normally call it a record player that got stuck.
Yeah.
You go round and round and round, and you go back again, and you do it, and I've been through that journey, so I kind of understand what you're saying, until I kind of one day decided, what, enough is enough. And I believe also that is one of the things here overall, where you yourself need to come to the point and said, well, thinking this way, acting this way, where has it benefited me and where has it taken me? And you're going to have to come up with that decision to say enough is enough. And also to reduce isolation as well. What I say to some of the single fathers, and I think this goes along as well, also for lone parent out there, we all go through that stage where you don't have enough money. All right. And this is one of the tips. And that's something I actually did when my kids were really young and money was really, really, really tight. So, and when I'm coaching a single father that's going through that kind of journey, feeling isolation, or they've lost their friends. And there was one guy, when he was working, he has so many friends with him. He has so many friends around him, going out to the pub and, go to football match or cricket. He had a kind of that built support system, that built friendship out there. But when he became a single father, kind of it gradually got less and less and less. And because this time around, he doesn't have enough money to go out with his mate to the pub or wherever they were going. He didn't have that. No. And what I say to them, and which something I actually did, I say to them, make up, promise yourself every month you go out and do something with your friends. It is great that you're doing everything with your children, but you need that me time. And I used to say to them, it is tough. And I know that sometimes 50p is 50p, right? A pound is a pound. And I've been there. And I know when I'm coaching a lot of the single fathers, and they can relate. So I used to say to them, no matter how tough it is, try very hard, all right, to put £2 away. Wherever it is, put that £2 away every week. Put that £2 away. Just close your eyes. Get one of those saving boxes. I would say to them that you don't, or put it somewhere, and you just put that. And in a month, you'll really be surprising yourself that you've actually saved maybe £20. So you got that £20, which is your own money that you can go out there and meet friends. So that again is a really good tip if somebody's going through that, so you can still go out there and have a good time Yeah, you may say to me, Margaret, 20 pounds don't go nowhere these days. I agree with you.
I was gonna say you need a little bit more than that, but yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't stretch, but at least it's a starting point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You got to start somewhere.
You got to start somewhere. What about, we talked a lot about emotionals and everything like that. How can, get that support to empower the emotions and everything, to be empowered and get that support emotionally? I mean, this is where your expertise is. This meant to create a path, to be able to learn who they are and to be able to manage that emotionals. So what do you think about that?
I mean, it depends on, each man is different, each person is different. What may be suitable for one individual isn't suitable for me. I'm like into my meditation, and I can do that. And I don't always love it because it's not always easy. But in a way, it's when it that kind of thing is extremely powerful. So sitting down just with yourself and just observing your patterns can be extremely helpful, because then you can see what you are doing to yourself, how you are adding this, like you're saying, going down that spiral, adding this energy of negativity. Like, oh my God, I'm constantly adding this energy myself. I'm doing it myself, and because so the event happens once. We get divorced. I say, well, unless you get remarried, but you usually get divorced once. But we replay it over and over again in our heads, and we do that ourselves. And we perpetuate the anger and the pain ourselves. And eventually, we may decide, like you decided, and like I decided, I'm not going to do that anymore.
Yeah.
I don't want to perpetuate this anger and hate anymore, because I'm hurting myself. That's the first person I'm hurting. I'm not really hurting. When I'm sitting alone fretting about what my ex-wife did or how she acted, and I'm throwing my anger in that direction, I'm not really doing. I'm hurting myself. I'm throwing anger at the image I have of her in my head. I'm not throwing anger at her. I'm throwing that anger at the image I have. So I'm imagining my ex-wife, and I'm throwing anger at that image. But that image is part of my own head. So I'm my own mind. So I'm just throwing anger at myself.
So really, overall, it's finding a way really, really deep down to say, enough is enough.
Yeah.
I don't want to live like this anymore.
Yeah, but
I want to change.
That at the beginning, there's no way you're going to do that. You're like, I am pissed, and you've got to allow that expression of anger or that feeling, and and taking on a practice of meditation allows you to feel the anger without it causing hurt. So you can just feel the anger from an detached viewpoint, from an observer viewpoint, and it's there. Oh, anger's there. And then you notice yourself adding to it, and then you say, oh, okay, I'm not going to add to it. Let me just watch. And then it starts to dissolve. It will get less. But that's a process. You may just think, I want to remain angry and pissed. Yeah, and that's okay. Yeah. The question is, how long do you want to remain that for? How long do you want to continue it for?
Well, I think that's a great question, on that, how long. And like you say, everybody goes the healing process. It's all different at each individual. But I just going to read a couple of tips to help us how to embrace the fatherhood, and just kind of summarize what my colleague here, Daniel, has been saying, because we know that being a single parent is one of the toughest toughest journey ever. But again, it is one of the most fulfillment journey, because when you see your children laugh, when they come and hug you, when they tell you, I love you, daddy, it kind of just melts your heart. It kind of just maybe, when they even say that, it kind of maybe shift some of those anger, some of those issues that you're going through. So one of the things to embrace the fatherhood, okay, if you are going through this new journey, or you have been this journey, or in the middle of it, one of the things to do, it's really, I think we've touched on it, and Daniel's touched on it, is really build this amazing support network around you. It's so important that you have that. And don't be embarrassed, don't be ashamed to ask for help. It is okay, men. And I'm a woman telling you guys out there, all right, all the single fathers out there, or that are doing such an awesome work. And it is okay. And sometimes when I'm teaching, I'm training, I'm coaching men on a one-to-one, I tell them, listen, it is okay to ask for help. And you'll be so amazed. The amount of people out there will come to help you and to assist you. So that's one thing you need to do. And your support system could be like Danny mentioned, when he was going through that journey, he has some of his friends were going a similar journey, and that was able, and it was very, very helpful to him. You might know somebody. So your support system could be your mom, dad, grand, sisters, even just people from the school as well. So one of the things I want to say to you, please build a support system and do ask for help. Don't be afraid. The next one is communication. All right, which Danny been kind of talked on as well. Just summarizing what he's been saying, it's be honest with yourself. All right, be honest with your communication. That is so important, and encourage your children to also to communicate open and honestly about their feelings. Now we got to remember, we will be talking about children as well. We haven't brought that much up. We kind of focus on the father section. All right, you got to also remember, wherever's going, it is impacting the children at the same time. So encourage them, your children, to open up and to speak. One other thing I just want to kind of tool that I use a great deal as a single mother as well, and obviously I brought up 2 boys. It's not one of the most easiest thing you could do as a woman to bring up boys, as you know, you can't. You know, one of the things I used to say to my son, I said, listen, I cannot validate you as a man because I'm a woman. I don't know how you feel as a man and everything. So I made that very clear. These are the things I can't do. But then I made it very clear to him also, listen, it's never going to change. I'm always going to be your mother. It's never going to change. And it's the same with the single fathers, with your children. That factor, when you're bringing them up, is never, ever going to change. But one thing that's going to really inspire and empower the relationship with your children is being best friends. All right, that's something I instill in my son. We are best friends. And what that did, kind of encourage him to open up, encourage him to speak. And now use that too with your children, because they too are going through the journey of pain. So use that as well. You know, that, yes, I'm your father. Yes, I'm going through the pain. I know you're going through the pain. Let's sit and talk about it. You know, so open that honesty with them. And this is so important. And my colleagues has touched it so many times. This is self-caring. All right. And I'm sure we're going to be doing a topic in terms of men's health and self-caring. All right. So within all that, do prioritize yourself. All right, and look after yourself. And these are just some of the stuff, some of the tips for you to be able to embrace, you know, your single fatherhood into that journey as well. Another thing that's going to help you a lot as well to overcome isolations. There are so many activities and all that, join activities, and particularly if you're a single father that you've got a young child with you. I remember an experience in a group. As you know, we women, we're just everywhere with our children. And I remember I just newly moved where I am right now. And I was looking for, because after I've set up the house, done everything, but I was beginning to feel isolation and everything. And I remember start looking around and I found a parents group and I joined it. And I remember all of us, the women, we sat in a circle talking and everything. And then this man walked in with a baby and everybody was starting to like, you know, but I think we realized as women what we've just done, because the looks on his face and everything, hopefully we kind of smile, encourage him. And he it became a really amazing guy within the group. He came with some information, we share, we talk, and built a strong network, and that reduced a great isolation. So please find somewhere, anything like that that's happening in your neighborhood, even if you are only going to be the single father there, please still go, still be there. All right. And also, if you had hobbies previously, don't neglect your hobbies. What do you think, Danny? What do you think?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, especially any hobbies that involve a transmutation of emotions and energy. So, you know, if you're playing football, if you're doing climbing, which what I love, tennis, anything that allows that energy to move, that's really powerful, and I find it really beneficial. So yeah, but ultimately you do want to, the thing you got to watch out for is not to use those hobbies to avoid and run away from your feelings. Face your feelings, embrace that, allow all of that to come up, process that, but careful you don't use your hobbies to do that, you know, because because if you don't, then there may be, you may actually decide to avoid those emotions another way, which is through alcohol, which isn't good. So or surfing the internet, porn, whatever it is. Yeah, and you don't want to create that kind of scenario. So exercise, hobbies, 100%. Go walks in nature. That's what I used to do anyway.
Yeah, I love walking. Right, that has been, I hope your viewers out there have really, really kind of enjoyed listening to us, and you've kind of got some really good tools out there that you can begin to use. We have some amazing topics that's going to come up, covering also the children as well, because we can't leave them behind. We're going to be talking about how to forgive your ex and how you can work together. And we're going to have some amazing speakers, you know, single fathers who's gone through the journey to come and share their stories and all that. At the moment, I'm just going to share something really quickly with you guys. Let's see. Because we've got this amazing training program that's coming up. And yeah, I got my guest. I wanted to surprise my Danny there. I said, let me put his picture because I really love this picture. So
it's very cheesy.
I don't think so. I think it's really excellent. But anyway, to all our viewers, thank you so much. And we got an amazing, 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 amazing program coming up, which is called The Power of Single Fatherhood. Let me tell you something. These fathers are heroes. They are heroes within our community. We need to support them. Now, the workshop is coming very soon. We are going to look at the journey of a single father the first time. We're going to go in depth because this is just a quick talk show, so we can't cover everything on it. We're going to look at breakup. We're going to look about abuse and trauma. We're going to look at mental health with men. That's something we really don't talk about. And I love what my colleague Daniel just said, you know, it is okay for men to cry. All right. And we're going to have experts to come in to talk about that. And I also had to deal with isolation. So we're going to go a lot more into details. You soon will be seeing this flyer coming around, seeing it. And yeah, look out for it because I'm super excited to be able to work with you guys. Another thing that we have coming, Danny, The book
Yay.
is finally finally completed. You know, the book is finally completed. It's called Unbreakable Bonds: The Journey of Single Fathers. It's out right now in Amazon. The book is out in Amazon. You can get a copy there. But the book is, why did I write the book?
Margaret,
Right.
when am I going to get my copy? I want a signed copy.
And as you can see, it's fresh off the press. So that's why he hasn't got a copy. And to be honest with you, I too haven't, because as soon as the book was completed and it was published, it's live on Amazon, I kind of traveled as well. So, but I'll definitely have that copy for you. And for me, I'm so blessed to be able to work with single fathers. It's an honor and a blessing. And the book is about we shining a light into these awesome heroes, silent heroes in our community that are doing amazing work. The book is about their journey, how they overcome challenges and move on to become amazing single fathers, how they overcome co-parenting, sharing their journey, how they deal with the finance issues, the challenges. So it's a very inspiring book. And it's not only for single fathers. Ladies, I want you to go and get a copy, because I want us to respect our men. All right? They are kings. All right? Our men, they are kings. So I talk about that, about men being kings as well and being respected. So also the book is not only for single fathers, it's also for we as women to also pick up a copy and to read. So yes, this is where we are. So thank you so much. Daniel.
Yeah, thank you very much for that, Margaret. Yeah, and I think you mentioned a really good point about respect as well. It's you know, often people say, you know, respect is earned, but then sometimes you have to just be respectful in your words. You know, you have to be respectful in a way, you know, because everyone's journey is different. You don't know what people have gone through. You know, even if you've lived with them, you don't know what their childhood was always like and why they do what they do, why they say what they say. So yeah, you have to respect people's journey, and yeah, 100%.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So it's amazing. Well, we are coming to the end of the show. Thank you so much. Danny, if the fathers out there who wants to speak to you, wants to work with you, how could they contact you?
They can go to my website, clearthepath.co.uk, or email me on danield@clearthepath.co.uk. And I'm also available on LinkedIn as well. So my surname might be a little bit difficult to remember though. But yeah, so just clearthepath.co.uk would be perfect. But yeah, I'm happy to you know, have a conversation with anyone.
Fantastic. And like he says, you can, you know, contact him through LinkedIn, Facebook, obviously his website, and you can email him. And for me, I've been working with Daniel there at times, so I'm gonna like, is it okay? Let's see what's going on, Margaret. Let's go. What's happening? Amazing person. And I know we've spoken a lot of time, and it's got me out some really difficult situation. So yeah, thank you so much for that. And how could you contact us? Let's Change Your Life with Margaret Thorley. We are looking for speakers onto this platform. So if you are a single father, you want to come and share your story, you want to come and share your journey, please go on to Let's Change Your Life with Margaret Thorley. There's a simple form that you just fill in, and I'll definitely contact you and have a chat with you. Thank you so much for being with us and supporting the program and the training, and we've got some amazing things coming. Thank you so much to all our viewers. We appreciate you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.